Stop 13. Jorge Bayaso and the Haitian Revolution. 42. St. George Street. Looking to the right of the door of Whetstone Chocolates, you will see the historic sign that outlines the history of the Salcedo House and a little bit about General Jorge Bayaso, who lived here in 1796. A little bit, but not enough. Jorge Bayaso was born a slave on a sugarcane plantation in 1740 in French-occupied Saint-Dominique, the island soon to become Haiti. 40 years later, the French Revolution would begin, and their entire country would be taken over by Napoleon Bonaparte. On top of that, England and Spain would declare war on them as well. Spain, copying their moves with Fort Mose against the British here in the late 1600s, began to recruit the Maroons in Saint-Dominique. Maroons were African people living in the mountains of the island who had rebelled against slavery and the French. Spain offered these men arms, gold, titles, and freedom if they would help them fight the French. Boukman Dutty, Jean-Francois, and Jorge Bayaso would take them up on that offer, becoming generals and leading thousands of enslaved African people in a war against their captors. It all began one night between August 14th and August 22nd of 1781. On that night, there was a violent and wild thunderstorm that shook the earth, and Hungon Boukman Dutty and Mambo Cecile Fate Man would conduct a huge voodoo ceremony in a place in Haiti called Bois Cayman. Over 200 leaders of the Haitian Revolution would meet that night in the thick woods by the coast. 1 week later, approximately 1,800 plantations had been burned to the ground, and thousands were dead in the largest successful uprising of enslaved African people in the world. After fighting for 12 years, Haiti would gain its independence in 1804. When the war between Spain and France ended in 1795, Spain gave their generals in Haiti free passage off of the island to anywhere they wanted to go in Spanish territory. Dutty and Francois chose Cuba, but Bayaso chose St. Augustine, and Salcedo was the Spanish soldier who gave this house to the general when he arrived. What a sight he was. It has been described that the Afro-Spanish general arrived with an entourage of around 25 people, his family. He was fully clothed in his uniform with its gold and red flashing among the white that his family wore. He made no secret of his voodoo beliefs either. They blended with his Catholic faith, sometimes showing out in that courtyard right there to the left of the Whetstone door. And on Saturday night and Sunday morning, the general and his family would dress in their best and most beautiful white clothes and walk down St. George Street to the cathedral for Mass. Everyone but his mother. It broke his heart to have to leave her in the chaos of leaving Haiti at the time. He tried for the rest of his life to get her here, but never could. Bayaso would be granted hundreds of acres of land by the Spanish crown, most of it north of the city of St. Augustine. He would also organize and lead the black militia against the Seminole in the first wars of the late 1700s. General Jorge Bayaso died in 1801 and was honored with a Spanish general's funeral at the cathedral, with a procession that traveled down St. George Street and ended with his burial. His tomb has been lost over time, but the records remain, and the General Jorge Bayaso currently rests in peace in the Talamato Cemetery on Cordova Street. Well, friends, hopefully this has been a good and informative tour. But most of all, I hope it was an empowering tour, one that gives a history of ancestors who faced the worst kinds of opposition, but still prevailed in a world where all things seemed to be stacked against them. These were strong people, heroes of history. They were Black, and all of them Americans. Thank you, and have a great morning, afternoon, evening. Have a great all three.